Modern life has become a fast-moving hustle. There are single cities that stretch for miles. The nearest neighbor is sometimes just beyond a single wall. People pack into subway trains with hundreds of other faceless commuters buzzing about their lives. But surprisingly, there are still places where this lifestyle hasn't reached, even in 2020. With a world population of just over 7.5 billion people, it's hard to believe that there are still small, isolated communities out there enjoying a simpler lifestyle. You're watching Ultra Weird, and this is our list of the 5 most isolated communities found around the world. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified for all the ultra weird stuff happening around the world. Number 1. Supai Village, Arizona. The first community on our list has been designated as the most remote community in the contiguous United States. Supai Village, Arizona, the capital of the Havasupai Indian Reservation, is so remote that it is only accessible by helicopter, on foot, or by mule. In fact, it is the last place in the United States where the mail is still delivered by mule. The Havasupai even have their own special postmark for outgoing mail. The Havasupai people have inhabited the area for over 800 years. The Havasupai, or the people of the blue-green waters, rely on nearby waterfalls and springs to support their irrigation farming. Everything else must be carried in on mules. Food is the number 1 item carried in via the mail. Home to just 208, the small settlement is located within the Grand Canyon. Supai is home to only 1 air-conditioned lodge, the Havasupai Lodge. There is also a single convenience store as well as a cafe. Although the locals are welcoming to visitors, one must be prepared to make an 8-mile hike from the nearest road in temperatures that can reach up to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. If this village has made it on your bucket list, make sure to check the forecast, as the trail to the settlement gets closed once the temperature gets too high, and be ready for a challenging desert hike. Number 2. Oymyakon, Russia. Next on our list, we leave the hot arid desert for the exact opposite. Oymyakon, Russia has been labeled the coldest permanently inhabited settlement on Earth. Fewer than 900 people call Oymyakon home. Due to its location between 2 valleys, the strong wind keeps this area colder than normal. It is so cold that there is even a monument to the coldest temperature ever recorded in the center of the city. An unbelievable negative 72 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded in January 1924. Since being cold is part of everyday life here, school is only canceled when the temperature falls below negative 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Living in such cold climate has its challenges. The ground here is covered by permafrost, meaning it never thaws. Because of this, farming is out of the question. And since the nearest town is 527 miles away, residents here must rely on regionally specific protein-packed foods for survival. These foods include reindeer meat, frozen horse liver, and ice cubes of horse blood with macaroni. For a car to remain functional, it must be running at all times, or the extreme cold will almost immediately kill its battery. Gas stations in the area are open 24 hours a day to accommodate this need. Running water is an impossibility, making outhouses the only option for bathroom facilities. And in order to bury the dead, fires must be started to thaw the rock-hard ground before it is possible to dig a grave. Stopping to talk to a neighbor is out of the question here. Most residents scurry from one place to another, dressed in heavy furs and covering their faces from the bitter cold. Still, life goes on here. Residents do enjoy a short but somewhat warm weather. Then it is back to the dark, cold days of their seemingly eternal winter. Number 3. Utqiagvik, Alaska. Located well above the Arctic Circle is the next very cold, isolated community on our list. Utqiagvik, Alaska is the northernmost city in America. Not only that, but it is also the 9th most northern city in the entire world. Utqiagvik is covered by a layer of permafrost that, in some places, is 1,300 feet deep. Although sometimes unbearably cold, there is evidence the area has been occupied as early as 500 AD. The warm season here lasts only for 3 months. During that time, the high temperature is somewhere around 36 degrees Fahrenheit. It's strange to think of summer months barely breaking freezing temperatures. During the cold season, which lasts more than 4 months, the high temperature is only 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Residents here experience another phenomenon that may make them feel a bit more isolated. Because of its northernmost location and the tilt of the Earth during the winter months, the Utqiagvik area has polar night. This is a 65-day period where the sun does not rise. This event begins in November, so it also coincides with the area's coldest weather. Imagine, one night the sun goes down and doesn't come back up again for 3 whole months. Talk about seasonal affection disorder. Thankfully, the houses here are heated by natural gas from nearby oil fields. The town also has a slew of modern amenities, such as churches, schools, and even a college. The town is connected to the rest of the world via phone, mail, and the internet, making the dark, cold months not so lonely. If you want to experience polar night, you can do so, but be prepared to pay for an expensive plane ride to get to the area, as it's the only way in. Do you think you could withstand the cold to experience perpetual night? Number 4. La Rinconada, Peru. The next isolated community on our list takes us from the coldest settlements on Earth to the highest. Just 40 miles north of Lake Titicaca in the Andes of Peru is La Rinconada. Located on the top of Mount Ananea, La Rinconada was built at a staggering 16,000 feet above sea level. Because of the high altitude, temperatures here for most of the year are well below freezing. If you're not one of the 50,000 people who call La Rinconada home, be prepared for altitude sickness. At this altitude, if not used to thin air, one will experience headaches, nausea, shortness of breath, and in the worst cases, death. One downfall of being so high up a mountain and virtually isolated is that there is little modern infrastructure here. La Rinconada lacks a sanitation system and plumbing. This causes the town to be somewhat unclean. People here either bury their garbage or simply leave it where it lies. Travel to the city is also tricky, as the roads coming to and from the city are often frozen over and just littered as the town itself. At 50,000 people, La Rinconada has a higher population than other isolated cities on our list. This is because people heard the area was rich with gold ore. There was a 230% population jump between the years of 2001 and 2009. Miners here work without pay. The only reward they have is that they keep what they mine. It is always a gamble whether the rocks they carry even contain gold, but it's a risk a lot of people are willing to take. How much gold would it take you to live in a town with no plumbing? Number 5. Coober, Pedy, Australia. Mining is also what brought people to our next community on our list. The Australian outback is widely known for its scorching summer temperatures and vicious wildlife. The settlement of Coober, Pedy, Australia avoided all this danger by heading underground. Initially brought to the area by chance, the area is now the opal capital of the world. While digging for gold in 1915, a teenage boy and his relatives came across an unbelievable amount of opals instead. Now, over 70% of the world's opals come from Coober, Pedy. In order to keep mining and escape the hostile environment of the outback, the miners made underground homes called dugouts. These dugouts kept them warm at night and cool in the daytime. Soon, these dugouts became a complete subterranean town. What started as just a few miners, the underground settlement grew to the 2,500 inhabitants that still occupy Coober, Pedy today. The population is made up of over 45 different nationalities, making it highly diverse. Although underground, Coober, Pedy has all the modern amenities. There's running water, electricity, and a justice system. There are also medical facilities, including a hospital with 24 beds. The school here ranges from pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. Students here enjoy many programs, including internships and community outreach programs. Sitting on a fortune of opals, one would think that would be their big moneymaker. However, most of the town's revenue comes from tourism. The draw to the underground city is undeniable. Tourists stay in the Desert Cave Hotel. There are galleries, cafes, and even underground shopping. One can also try to find opals themselves. Coober, Pedy may be in the middle of the desert, but the underground lifestyle has many people entranced with its uniqueness and the thrill of the treasure hunt. What did you think of the far-off places on this list? Would you visit any of them? Drop us a comment below and let us know where you'd book a ticket. Remember to like the video if it piqued any of your interest, and subscribe to Ultra Weird for more videos of the strange things here on planet Earth and beyond.